Yo, Igor J, but you can call me Dre, and today we're doing another VOD review. This is going to be Amber Sapphire versus Amethyst Steel. So if you guys like the video, like it. If you guys like my channel, subscribe to it. Go to my channel as well too on Twitch, Ego_Dre, to be able to follow, and just kind of follow me, do this live, play live. If you guys want to ask me any questions, I'm there live. I stream every weeknight at 8 p.m. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. Why not? Why not, huh? So it looks like with the starting hand, let me go ahead and turn that off. There you go. So it looks like with the starting hand, we have Stitch, 7-cost Stitch, Develop Your Brain, Moana, Sail, Pete, Moana. Normally, with this kind of hand, the god line that we're looking for is obviously 2-cost Ramp, Cinderella, and Moana. That's usually the god line you're looking for when you're playing this deck. So normally I wouldn't keep the Moana, but I think in this situation I probably do end up keeping the Moana, because obviously if you put all of these cards back, you're probably not going to see the Moana again, or there's like basically a 0% chance you're going to see Moana. So 90% of the time I usually keep it this way, just those 3 cards at least, but we're digging pretty aggressively for Cinderella here, so we're probably going to go ahead and do that. Let's see what I end up doing. Let me go ahead and full screen this, by the way. Yeah, let's go see what I end up doing. Cool, so it does look like I end up keeping those 3, and then I end up seeing Tipo. This is decent because if you're not going to see the Cindy, you have to double ramp at this point in time here, so that way you can try to be able, depending on the matchup, you can try to be able to ramp up to your Moana turn and ramp up to your Raging Storm turn. So I ink the Stitch, I play the Develop finds me in a coma. So once he inks this Hades and he plays his Christopher Robin, I instantly know that he's on Purple Steel. So I think the game plan ends up changing. Whether that's correct or not, I'm not 100% positive, honestly, because of the way that this game plays out. If I remember correctly, I think it ends up being the wrong choice, if I remember correctly, but we'll see how it goes. So I end up inking the Tipo instead, so I'm not going to go for the double ramp play. And I just slam the Develop Your Brain again, because I'm trying to do Nakoma on 4, because Nakoma is extremely good in this matchup. So he plays the second Christopher Robin, quests for 2. It's really nice that he gets that extra underdog. So I go ahead and ink the Pete, I play the Nakoma out. He inks an Angel, plays out Lexington. So now this is an interesting situation that I have here, right? Because what I can do is, when it passes back to me, which obviously I'm going to do. He ends up questing with both of them. When it passes back to me, I have the option to be able to either keep this Moana and or this Pete in my hand, ink a Let It Go, and then just play down the 5-cost while he's here. But it's a little scary because he has double underdog already out, right? So like for me, in my head, it's like, okay, maybe I should start contesting the board a little bit. Especially if I turn this Nakoma into this Christopher Robin and play a 5-cost, his Lexington and his Robin can trade into my Nakoma, which honestly maybe I should be okay with, because it ends up clearing the board anyways and he's not questing. So honestly, in hindsight, I don't know if I like the play that I do end up going for here, but the idea in my head is I go for the Let It Go here, get rid of this Lexington, and then clear this Robin. This Robin can't trade back into the Nakoma, so I'm a little bit more free to play, and then I can play Pete the next turn with 6 Dawn, or 6 ink, and then go ahead and boost for 1, and usually that's a decent option to be able to continue like my game plan in a sense. And like not only that, it puts like the pressure on them for Purple Steel, because I have like the Nakoma body still here, because this card's just really good in this matchup. However, my issue with this line is the fact that I don't actually start like searching for cards, right? Like I don't actually start like a card search engine and start plussing like my hand out, whereas if I kept the Moana, or even if I just decided to play the Pete there, like I end up with more cards in my hand, and that's probably like the resource management and you're gonna see as I go down, like I start kind of losing out on resources along with him, which isn't necessarily what I wanted. He kind of blindsides me because he's playing the Sven, so everything that I ended up doing in that instant scenario probably didn't matter too much, because if I play down the Pete and I go ahead and swing over just 1 Robin, he has the Lexington, it ends up being a little worse for me, right? Because he just smashes the Sven into my dude, and then he quests with both the Lexington and the Robin. Those are still there. He goes to 9 instead of 8, and then then I have a Pete on the board, which is good, and I have double Let It Go, so maybe I'm still able to get rid of the Lexington and kill the Robin and clear the board. Maybe we're in a better spot. I don't really know. It would make it so that I'm not able to search with the Pete though. I would have to what's called swing it into a body, so I'm not sure how much I enjoy that either. So either way, I end up going ahead and play the Pete. Pete gets a boost on. He Christopher Robin search quests, and then he plays down a Genie. It looks like I used the Let It Go on the Genie that he had, and then I swung the Pete in anyways instead of using the search. So now, as you can see here, we're kind of at like a similar resources, which is not where I want to be versus the Purple Steel deck, because they have cards that rebuttal themselves. I don't. So now we go ahead and play out the Elanui. I think this is a big misplay by me. I think I'm supposed to keep that just for ink. He goes down and plays the Yzma, and he plays the Calhoun. So now I just basically put this in the firing range of my Raging Storm, whereas this could just be in my well, right? And then I just have my Pete to do its thing. But to be fair, like I also kind of want to deal with this Yzma and this Calhoun at some point here, right? I restand. I end up drawing to Pete, which is into Hades, which is really good because I can just Pete for the ink. I Pete for the ink. I find the Let It Go. I go ahead and ink the Let It Go. I slam down the Hades so that way I have a little bit more tempo on him. I end up putting the Yzma in the well, which is really good for me. And all he has is a Calhoun, which can't trade up into my Pete, so this is perfect. He ends up playing Cobra down, and he uses its ability, which is an interesting option. He could just play it out and just have the Olaf, but I mean, I guess he really wanted to get to 12. I mean, that's probably fine. But he's on no cards, right? Whereas I have Storm. Cinderella isn't like the best pickup here, but honestly, with the Pete ability about to come up, like we're looking like we're in a really good spot. I end up turning it sideways, even though it's able to trade with his Cobra. It's still like decent to be able to do so, just because you're able to get the card that you need. I find the visions and I activate the visions, it looks like, and then I end up finding another Hades, which is nice. I play the Cinderella, and I think at this moment and point in time, he has no cards, so it's good for me to go ahead and ink this Raging Storm here and just find more cards myself, so that way I'm up on him with resources. The chances of him top decking out crazy is like pretty low, so I'm able, maybe it's not the lowest, but you know, it's understandable to think that, like, you know, if he's playing off the top, we probably just try to play a resource game versus him instead, right? Instead of trying to wipe his board. I resolve it, and then I end up going Pete, or drawing into a Pete off of the Cinderella, and I ramp up a little bit. He draws into Doc, which is really good for him. Obviously, he draws into 2. Ends up drawing into a Genie, which is also really good for him. The Genie finds him another Genie, and then that all of a sudden he has a whole board again, right? And I didn't have the Raging Storm for this one as well too, so. I go Hades. Hades goes ahead and hits the Genie, so at least I can kind of try to get him off some of lore count. It's getting really scary because he's only at 12 lore, so I have to really think about what he's got going on the board at the moment. He ends up playing out basically his whole hand, quests with the Genie, and then this is lethal on board, so now I have to do something about this, otherwise I just lose. I draw into the Stitch. I'm kind of screwed. I have a play to be able to go like Stitch, draw 2, and like maybe find the evasive killer. And then maybe I could like maybe you know, clear at least this body, and then he won't be dead, and I don't have to clear my own bodies. However, I still feel like that's wrong because the Calhoun goes ahead and swings in, and it gets him closer to 19. So I think I have to board wipe myself here. So I go ahead and quest out. I'm assuming I quest out. Yeah, it looks like I quest out. I go ahead and ink the body. I don't know why it looked like the Elon we hit the board, but I go ahead and hit the body. Or sorry, I go ahead and play the Raging Storm. I clear all of the bodies as well too, so now I'm at 10, he's at 14, but he's on top deck, which is better for him than it is for me, because now I just have these Stitches. I'm playing a Stitch out for fun. He goes Captain Hook. Quest with the Robin, now he's at 16, which is looking good for him. Now this is an interesting situation that I'm in, because I can decide to hold this just in case, swing the Stitch in, and then he only gets the one quest here, and then I can just either play out this Stitch, or I can just like pass. Right? I think in this situation, because he's so close, I decide to use the Spooky Sight here, which I do end up doing. I get a quest on, and then I just hope he doesn't top deck anything crazy. He hits the Demona. Demona gives him all of his cards back, and then he plays out the Cobra, goes to 18 instead of just being at 16. And I am now in a losing spot. I think I just fully lose here. I have basically nothing, and that's it for game 1. So I feel like I played like decent, like in that game. It wasn't amazing, but you know, I think there was definitely lines there that I probably could have played a little differently. I think from the beginning I was supposed to still go for the ramp rather than go for the Nakoma. I put a little bit of too much into the Nakoma, which is an issue in this matchup. You want the Nakoma to be able to swing over the bodies early, but you also still need to be able to hit your ink threshold and have as many cards as possible. So not the easiest matchup, but we go on to game 2. So game 2, we have something similar here. We have Ohana and Nakoma Visions, Cinderella, Spooky Sight, Pete. So the Spooky Sight and the Cinderella are going to be huge here. I need to find turn 2 ramp. So I probably end up just keeping the Cinderella, maybe the Spooky Sight. Let's see how I do it. It looks like I just kept the Cinderella, and then I end up not finding the turn 2 ramp. So what I do is I ink the evasive card, and then I basically play out the Elanwi. Thank God I hit the sail, looks like. I ink the Visions, play the Sail, ink the Tipo that I end up getting, and now we're looking really good. He just has a Palace Guard. Palace Guard isn't too crazy. Elanwi's good because it trades with any of the baby bodies that he ends up putting out. I go ahead and I play out the Cinderella. I trigger the Cinderella. I put the board wipe in because I think at this point we're not really scared too much of anything that he could do this early, because he's not starting off with the most aggressive cards. He's just starting off with cards that are hard to kill. I go to quest, I pump up my Cinderella, I take out the Palace Guard. I think that's fair to do there, only because it's enough to be able to clear a 1/4 body. And so then even though he's able to trade his Calhoun in here, it's not too bad. It's not too bad of a deal for me. Because if he does end up doing that, so he would have to be able to pay just to be able to move the 1 damage from here onto the Elanwi, which means he wouldn't be able to play out this body, which he ends up deciding not to do, and he plays out Angel, which is a really good pickup for him, honestly. And he just uses the Angel to be able to take that out, and then uses the Calhoun to swing in instead to be able to take the other card out. So, but here we end up having multiple Hades, which is really good for us. So we Hades the Angel, I'm assuming, or maybe it's Cheshire. Yeah. So we Hades the Angel, and we end up taking out the Cheshire. His Calhoun is going to have the ability to take out my Moana again, but he has to trade it, which is good for us. And he's only at 7. That's not like death. It's only when he's above 10 is when it becomes an issue, right? I ink the Elanwi from the grave. He goes Genie. Calhoun trades into my body again. And then he has the dock, but it looks like he used no dock ability, so I'm assuming he's stuck on dock here. So I just go ahead and ink the card, and I'm assuming I play the second Hades. The second Hades comes out, it hits the Genie. And so now we're looking really good compared to him, right? He plays out a Genie, passes again, so maybe he doesn't have a dock. I end up go ahead and playing out the Stitch, so that way I can get my draw cards in. Ink the Sail. Ink twice. I think I played the Develop there. Yeah, I played the Develop and find a second Cinderella. Quest with the 2 Hades, and I pass. He goes Hook Demona. Demona's good for me because he gives me an extra card as well too, and his bodies can't really trade well into this board. I don't know why he did that. That was like a really weird play. He like swung with the Genie into the Hades and then quested with the dock. I don't know. There's like no purpose in making a play like that. I end up going Sail. I draw into a Stitch. The Stitch draws me into 2 more cards, which is good. I also draw into Ohana, which is also good. So I end up using the Ohana here on the Hades, I believe. Yeah, so I swing the Hades in to the dock to get the extra damage on it, and then I Ohana. I draw 3. I'm looking at my hands looking really good. I quest out with everything because, again, even with the Demona in his hand, it's still really tough for the Purple Seal deck to deal with this because they need to be able to resolve like a Strength of a Raging Fire or maybe even the Timu Zeus just to be able to clear this board, and even then it's just not enough, right? Sven is a really good start, though. I mean, it's an extra 5 damage. He ends up going Cobra, no ability, though. Swings 2 bodies into 1 Stitch. Swings 2 bodies into 1 Hades, or not. He ends up playing into my Ohana again, which is really weird. And then it looks like he just ends up scooping. Is that what just happened? This was that same game, right? Yeah, it looks like that's what it was. Sorry, I'm trying to see what happens turn by turn. Yeah, it looks like he ended up doing that, realized his mistake, and then he just ended up scooping and picking up the card. So sweet. I mean, that was pretty. I think we just ended up overwhelming him with both Hades and Stitch. Like, those cards are just really difficult for him to play, especially going second. So now we're gonna go into game 3, where I'm playing on the draw. Let's see what I have here. Let's go. We have Nakoma, Stitch, Raging Storm, Develop, Pete, Sail, and Tipo. This is really good. I think probably what I end up keeping here is I try keeping this and then the 2 Rampers. Maybe the Pete, I'm not sure. I don't think I keep the Nakoma because I'm trying to play not towards this again because of the way that it played out last time. But we'll see what I end up doing. Let's see what I end up keeping. So I do end up keeping the Nakoma. It looks like I was going to go ahead and try to play towards it. But I have the second Tipo here just in case if I feel like I need to be able to double ramp. So it might be decent. We'll see what we end up trying to do. He plays down the Olaf. I ink that, and then I play the Develop. I don't want to challenge the Olaf with the Elanwi just yet. I'm looking deeply for Cinderella, just in case that's the line I want to take. He plays down Calhoun. I end up inking the Tipo, so that way I don't end up having the double ramp instead. So now we're gonna go ahead and play towards this Nakoma. I play out the Elanwi, so that way now we can challenge the Olaf. So he ends up questing with both bodies, which is fine for us. You know, the Calhoun, I can't kill the Calhoun anyways. We just have to swing over the Olaf, which I'm okay with. I end up drawing into the Spooky Site, which is really, really big here. I play out that Nakoma. The Elanwi trades into the body. And he plays out an Angel, which is decent enough. I mean, if he has Strength is a little scary, but it's still not enough math to be able to deal with the Nakoma, which just, again, shows the strength of the Nakoma again, right? I draw here. I'll go ahead and play out the Moana just so I have tempo with the bodies that I have. If he has Strength here, you know, it triggers onto the Moana, which I think I'm okay with. He ends up inking an Elsa, which is really interesting because it's like you can just Elsa down the Moana and just take it out and then just kind of go sideways. Maybe you don't want to go sideways though because the Nakoma's kind of pressuring him. So the Nakoma ends up being really good. When he inked this Elsa and then played this Calhoun, I think I was like drooling or frothing at the mouth because like he's playing super deep into my Spooky, right? So he ends up playing a Dock Down as well too. Again, still playing into my Spooky. And then he plays out a Palace Guard as well. So he plays heavily into my Spooky. I just ink from the grave and then I slam the Spooky, I'm assuming. Yep. All of his cards go into the well. And then I just quest with both because he can't technically kill this. I mean, he can technically kill this. I think what he's supposed to do is he's supposed to go Angel Pitch, do 2, swing into the Moana. He takes, what, 2 damage? And then with his Cheshire, he can move 2 damage to the Nakoma. Let's see what he does. He ends up doing it to the Nakoma instead, which is totally fine. I think the Moana was getting me a little bit more value, but I guess the Nakoma is easier for him to kill, or harder for him to kill. So if he needs the opportunity to kill it, then it's smart for him to take the opportunity to kill it. I draw into Circle of Life. I use the Circle. I go ahead and play out the Hades. And now the option here is either to take out the Cheshire or the Angel. I'm pretty sure, though, it's the Angel, because the Angel is harder to deal with when he's at no cards in hand than the Cheshire is, because the Cheshire can never go sideways because Moana's here, right? Then because he decided not to take out the Moana. Well, I guess the Nakoma would have done the same thing, but either way, the Angel is more difficult to deal with. Not only that, it's always giving him possible 2 ping, so it's just better for us to be able to take out the card that can actually out our board versus the card that can never go sideways. And I can go sideways because he doesn't want to trade into it. He plays it on Christopher Robin. It's going to do basically nothing. Boost for fun. I play the Stitch so I can get more draw cards. I ink from the grave, then I play out the Elanwi. I quest again with both bodies. This time now he can swing the Cheshire in, and then he can go Robin in, and then he can go Cheshire ability boost, take out the Hades. But I think that's fine because he's not questing, and he just turned his Cheshire sideways. So we're okay with having him do that. He does top deck into the Sven, which is really good for him, though. Ends up using it to take out the Moana. Maybe it's better to take out the Hades there? No, because he can't move damage, so he ends up trading with either or. Maybe that's fine. Cool, so I end up inking the Horseman Strikes. I play the Stitch to be able to draw 2. And I'm just like super head now here, right? So I just start questing out crazy. I'm at 14. He plays Demona, he plays Yzma, he plays Doc, he plays as many cards as possible, and it doesn't really matter anymore at this point because I'm still just going to be able to quest out. Even if he's playing all these cards, I have exact lethal on the board here, so that's not even exact lethal actually, that's just more than lethal, right? So he's just like not looking good. It's just tough for him. Once the Stitches hit the board in this matchup, I think both Stitch and Nakoma are crazy in this matchup for this specific reason. Their bodies are just huge, right? So it's like difficult for them to be able to clear these bodies without having to be able to turn into Demona sideways, and 90% of the time it's a little bit too late. So honestly, all in all, I feel like he played like heavily into the Spooky Sight. The Spooky Sight ended up doing amazing damage for me there. Nakoma's decent. Like if you use it as a starter, I ended up not needing the Cinderella that third game. Ended up working out the way that it needed to do. And again, that was on the draw, right? If he decides to not go the aggro route, which a lot of the Purple Steel players aren't doing anymore because they don't want to lose to the dog deck, nor do they want to lose to the mirror. So they're cutting a lot of aggro cards. Having Spooky Sight for the smaller bodies is actually really nice. And then if you play down in a Nakoma or like just some kind of body that's like huge to be able to swing over and absorb some damage and just kind of challenge their board early, it looks pretty good for this deck. So all right, that's gonna be it for the video. If you guys have any questions, obviously leave a comment. If you like the video, like it. If you guys like my channel, subscribe to it. Follow me on Twitch or subscribe to me on Twitch if you guys want to go see me do this live. Then yeah, see you in the next one, guys.